So, those of you who don't know, first and foremost, I met Dan. When did we meet?
5 years ago? 6 years ago?
6 years ago. You guys probably know my biggest mentor in my life. My mom and dad, and Al Levy. And Al Levy took a picture of my brand and he put it in black and white. And he said, the first month I met him, he goes, I'm not so sure about your wraps. And I go, well, Al, we're making a lot of money with them. And he said, let's just figure out your manuals first. And then every 3 months he'd go, I took another picture of your van on the road. And I'm like, what should we do, Al? And he goes, well, why don't you call Ken Goodrich up? Why don't you see what he did? Because at Zoom Drains, we use this guy named Dan Antonelli with KickCharge. So the first thing Dan says, notorious Dan says, your brand sucks. It's garbage.
That's bullshit. I didn't really say that.
Yeah, you did say, you're like, yeah, this is horrible. If you guys saw my Valpak, my billboard, my stickers, my yard signs, my commercials, my website, my vehicles, none of it was even close to looking like one another. I wore every different color shirt. Like I wore turquoise, light blue. I had a million of these A1s, and Al walked in one day and he goes, what are you doing? Why do you have so many color shirts? So we rebranded, and I know this is a long introduction, and it was like a leap of faith. And I'm not bullshitting you guys. This is like no fluff. All of a sudden, our tickets started to rise dramatically. The click-through rate started to go way up. And that boom, within 18 months, we had 100 million. And that's no joke. Like, I thought we were dialed in. So I'm working with this company. It's a flooring company. And they're like, we don't want to spend any money on a brand. And I'm like, you guys are spending $30,000 a month on pay-per-click? Like, do you realize how much money? But you don't want to put money into the number one thing that builds culture, that makes people know who you're at when you pull up, that they see on the road. And Dan's number one thing he said is, I want your van on all your advertising. Because that's what people see. It's a driving, rolling billboard. And a lot of people are like, ooh, I don't know, Dan knows this, but I have hundreds of people that come up to me like, what do you think? And I'm like, that's the shittiest imitation of KickCharge I've ever seen. And it just looks like bullshit. And Dan rips them apart all the time. And that's why Dan's like, get out your logos, and I'm gonna have fun today. But I'll tell you guys this, I do not believe, and I mean this sincerely, that there's a better company on the planet to build a brand that maximizes value, that attracts the affluent clients. And the more important thing for me was all of a sudden players wanted to work for me. They're like, we see you. It's an omni approach. We see you everywhere. We want to be part of this company. And I remember talking to him and I said, Dan, you didn't just create a brand for me. You created an empire. And without meeting Dan when I did, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be standing here. And I mean that. And his team, I've worked with every person on his team. They're like, Dan got sick for a while. Dan was in a triple heart bypass. And I remember talking to him right when he started feeling better. And he goes, man, this was actually, like, it was near-death experience. But he goes, the team actually outdid me. So the team is like, they all know what they're doing, but if you ever go visit him, they take pride in what they do. Dan's a great friend of mine. I appreciate you being here, brother. Thanks for switching times.
Thanks, brother.
Give Dan a round of applause. Sorry for taking up half your presentation.
Okay, so a lot of what Tommy just said is actually really interesting in the sense that you don't know what you don't know. So when I wrote the book, Branded Not Blanded, that was really my intent, and my goal was to try to educate as many home service owners as I could, because I felt bad. Like, I would see stuff like he says, and I probably didn't say it all sucked, but a lot of it did suck, and I felt bad. I was like, well, they just don't know, and maybe I could give them as much information as possible so that they would understand. So today we're going to really go through your own brand using that worksheet on your table. It's going to be interactive. It's going to be kind of fun. We're basically going to grade your own brands. Before we get into it, just a little bit about me. As Tommy said, I run KickCharge Creative. We have about 35 employees. We're based about an hour and a half away in northern New Jersey. We've done to date about 2,500 home service brands. You see in this picture me on the bottom right there, that's actually me lettering a plumbing company when I was probably about 16 or 17 years old. So I'm 54 today, so I've been doing this almost 40 years, which is just kind of crazy a little bit. And the coolest thing about what we get to do, like Tommy says, we get to change lives with the work that we do. And we really believe in the notion of designing as if lives were at stake. You know, like Tommy mentioned, I had some issues with my heart surgery. It was actually, Tommy likes to one-up me on everything. It was only actually double bypass surgery. It wasn't triple, actually. So that event actually was really a great thing to happen to me. I mean, the not dying part was awesome as well. But certainly being able to almost really think so hard about my why and what it is that we do every day, and just to really live in that sense of gratitude, like Michael had said earlier when he was speaking. And you know, I am just so grateful to be here today. It's actually 1,209 days since my surgery. And so I couldn't be more grateful to be here in front of you today. So thank you for being here. So let's get into it. Like, the number one thing to think about when it comes to branding is this idea of this brand wheel, right? And in the center of that brand wheel is your logo. All the things are built around that hub, okay? If you get that hub wrong, then the wheel does not turn nearly as well. And one of the other most critical things to think about is, without a good brand, your ROI in all your marketing is going to be compromised. You could ask the people at Rhino how much they like working with a brand that is well done, what it means for conversion rates, what it means for booking rates, what it means for culture, what it means on cost per acquisition. All those things are affected. So if you don't get that piece right, you will just be spending more money on your marketing, okay? So we use a lot of different criteria as we judge brands, okay? And we're gonna go through them. Number one thing that most home service owners get wrong when they start their company, and it's so sad, is the name. So that's typically the first thing that they don't do correctly. And then they spend so much time trying to overcome that obstacle. So I want you to think about, obviously, your own name, and then think about these criteria, and then you're gonna judge yourself, okay? So is it easy to spell? Is it memorable? Does it use jargon like HVAC or the words mechanical? Mechanical is not a residential friendly term, okay? Mrs. Jones probably does not know what that word means. Does it deliver a brand promise? Meaning, if I just hear the name, do I think about something positive with it? Can you own your own brand name? Are there a lot of other companies in your market with a similar name? Is it a last name or initial-based brand? Okay, those are the two hardest things to brand, to have become memorable, to rent space in the consumer's minds. Initial-based brands and last-name brands. Does it evoke an obvious visual? Visuals help connect the people to your brand name. So when you see the visual, can you almost guess what the name of the company is? Does it sound like a description, not a brand name? Or is it based on a location? Location-based brand names are also really challenging. So looking at this example, RW Garage. Okay, why do I care about that? Why would I remember that? What's the promise there? There is no promise. It's just RW Garage. But Right Way Garage Doors, now I have a promise. Now I know that we're going to do things the right way. Not only is it a great name that speaks to your external audience, but it's a great name that speaks to your internal audience. Okay? PMA Mechanical. I don't know if any of you, does anyone know what PMA Mechanical became? Anyone in the room? Grasshopper. Do you think Amanda would have gotten to where she was today if she had kept the name PMA Mechanical? And that's the rebrand, okay? And not only great name, but the notion of forward is a way of life as their tagline. Okay, grasshoppers can only move forward. This is a great name that speaks not only to the external customers, but the internal ones as well. Garage Door Solutions sounds more like a description rather than a brand name, okay? Why would Mrs. Jones remember this particular brand? Why? What about it is memorable? It sounds like a Google search term, not a brand name. This is the rebrand, Jolly Goat. It's a lot more memorable, isn't it? A lot more easy to look at the image, the graphic, the mascot, and marry it up to the name, aiding in the recognition. Again, renting space in their mind is much easier with a better brand name. Okay? So take a look at your own names and judge it from 1 to 10. I have some of my team here too. If you want to walk around and help you judge your brand name, they have a lot of experience in that too. All right. Anybody think they got a 10? Well, you do have a 10. Zoom Drain's got a 10. They got a killer brand too. I know a little something about that brand. You got a 10? 10, all right. We got a bunch of 10s. All right. All right, moving on to the next criteria. Tagline, okay? Again, we just talked a little bit about Amanda's tagline, forward is a way of life. Is your tagline unique? Does it help establish a promise or a unique selling proposition? Is it memorable? And is it uniquely related to your own brand story? And that's something to really think about too. So could your tagline work for literally any other of your competitors? If you put your tagline with their logo, would it make sense? If so, then why is it unique to you? Why is it memorable? How does it relate back to your own brand name? So looking at this, tagline for this company is experience the difference. You could literally use that tagline for probably any one of you today. Why would I remember it though? Is it unique? Is it memorable? Is it related to the name Georgia Air Specialist? Not really. But Georgia Air now with a mascot that's a peach, and with everything, with us, everything is just peachy. Now that makes sense, right? Now that's related back to their brand name. Certainly, again, aiding in recognition, aiding in something to be more memorable, okay? We're mad about your heating and cooling, Element Air. Probably wouldn't work for most other companies, right? So it's more unique in that sense. Zest Plumbing and Drain, refreshingly great service. Obviously goes exactly with that visual. Wouldn't make sense for most companies. Comfort that soars above the rest for Eagle Pro, okay? Empowering homeowners everywhere for Legendus. Your home comfort destination, Summit Air Conditioning. This company has actually gone from, I think, $1.5 million to $30 million in 18 months in Las Vegas. Victor and Sean Mannion running that company, they're just crushing it. So low scoring ones, again, just generic things. Great service since 2005. Our work is guaranteed. Okay, wow, like, oh my God, your work is guaranteed. I'm definitely using you because your work is guaranteed. Free estimates, licensed and insured, quality care you can count on. Again, those are examples of ones that obviously would not score well. So take a look at your own tagline. If you don't have one, then I guess you get a 0 for that. I think it's good. All right, everybody good? Next one. We good? A lot of 10s in the room? 10s? Any 10s? 110. All right, I can't wait to see your score at the end. It's going to be good. The logo itself, okay? So let's take a look at the logo. Is it unique or generic? Okay? Is it clip art or is it original? If it's clip art, that's problematic in the sense that literally anyone can use the same exact logo. That's why we're not usually a huge fan of red and blue arrows or, well, red and blue arrows, or sun and snowflakes because they're common, they're overused, they're difficult to own. Was it built by AI? One of the interesting things about using AI to build your logo is, again, you actually can't own it and you can't trademark it. Okay, so that means literally, again, anyone else can use that same logo. You have no rights to it. Does it say LLC or Inc.? Another common error. So if your logo is using that, take some points off because you don't need to use LLC or Inc. in your logo ever. The same reason why Apple doesn't say Apple and then Inc. next to it, okay? Does it connect with the viewer on a deeper level? So if you're a garage door company and this is one of your logos, well, why would Mrs. Jones remember any of these ones? Because they all look the same. You're like, well, I got to put a garage door in my logo because I do garage doors. I'm like, well, you know, the name should kind of give them an indication that you do garage doors, you know? So it's kind of thinking about being different with your logo. So again, looking at all these very generic HVAC logos, the sun and the snowflakes, the red and blue arrows, again, not likely something that Mrs. Jones is going to file away and put in her head for when she needs service. Because keep in mind, that impression that's out on the street is not for them to take action right this second. It's for when they need service later on. Okay, so thinking about that. So that she goes on Google and she doesn't type in AC repair near me. She types in the name of the company that she remembered having seen that left an impression in her mind. Okay, this is a company we rebranded. It's called My Air Systems. Not really a great name either, and not certainly a great logo or truck wrap. And then we rebranded them McAwesome. So between the two, again, going down the street, this is obviously suffering from that white van syndrome you may have heard me speak about. Which one would I likely remember? McAwesome or that white van? Okay? I'm sorry if this seems painfully obvious what I'm saying here, but that's really what's happening out on the street every day is these impressions are happening, and how do they register with the people that you're trying to connect to? How do we live in their minds rent-free? Okay? So again, low-scoring ones, again, more generic, things you can't own, clip art, things that feel common, overused, and then you can see some high-scoring examples. You guys could ask your neighbors too, by the way, what they think, so it's just not completely biased. And I apologize if this presentation isn't really inspiring. A lot of people leave my presentations like completely deflated and really sad. So if that happens, I apologize in advance, but all right, so moving on. Next one, we got audience appeal. Again, like we talked about, how are we renting space in their minds, okay? Does it appeal to women and connect with them in any way, okay? Keep in mind, over 80% of the home service purchasing decisions are made by women. Does our brand speak to that audience in a way? Does it connect with her? Does it help homeowners feel at ease with who's coming to their home? One of the most important things, think about it, you're letting a stranger in your home, okay? And if you're a woman, that's something that you're thinking about. You want to make sure that they're reputable, honest, trustworthy, all those things, right? So, does the logo help them feel at ease? There's a lot of negative bias against contractors in general. How does the logo speak to counter that bias? Okay? Again, like I said, 80% of the purchases are made by women. So thinking about a brand like that, the bottom right logo for Williamson, that was the original brand. Okay? We renamed them Cool Willies, taking off from the Williamson name. And does Cool Willies look like he's coming to your house to rip you off? Or is he coming to your house to do something cool? Oh, yeah, that's so cute. Cool Willie's a good guy, right? This guy's coming to your house, he's gonna beat the shit out of you. Seriously. Like, there's a lot of logos that look just like that. Big muscled guy, I'm a tough guy, you know, my guys, my technicians are super tough. I'm like, that's awesome, I'm glad they're tough. But Mrs. Jones, she's already scared shitless about who's coming to her home. Let's not make her more scared. Okay? So, low-scoring ones, you know, Spike Service, you know, the Bulldog. Like, I mean, these are painfully obvious things, but take a look at your own brands and see if you're doing something that makes that homeowner feel at ease. Any 10s in here? I gave myself 9? All right. All right. All right. Again, the notion of what does the imagery project to the people you are trying to sell to. If they were to judge you on no other criteria, but what they visually were presented with, whether it's on a website, whether it's on the truck, the business card, the uniform, what does Mrs. Jones think about what she might get from you if she hired you? Everything that branding is doing is trying to control what she believes that experience would look like. Okay? So again, is it communicating all the things we just talked about? Is it making her feel at ease? Is it making her feel that there's a reason why she should pay more for her services, your services, than someone else? Is it making her feel like there's value in what you provide? Okay? Well, they're the most expensive company, but I think they'll be around next year if something goes wrong. I think that they'll honor their workmanship. I think that they're honest about their pricing. Those are all things that go into the psychology behind branding, all the things that we're trying to control about what she believes. So does your logo communicate those things? Does it make her think instinctively that you're going to be the cheapest? Or does it make her think that you're going to be the most expensive? And then there's a reason for that, for you guys to be the most expensive. Okay? So controlling what she feels from the beginning is so important. Okay? So again, just going with something that feels a lot more warm, a lot more fuzzy, a lot more professional. Okay? This is a good example here. Does Garage Door Doctor here, does this look like a place I'm getting a premium garage door from? Okay? The effect on average tickets is mind-blowing when you think about how branding relates to that. Okay? This company here just crushing it since the rebrand. So just compare the two. You know, honestly, like one rolls up your driveway and the other rolls up the driveway. Which do you think is going to provide a better service, a better product, a better deliverable? So score yours. You know, does it deliver that promise? Or does it feel generic? Does it feel like a place that I'm not going to want to spend a lot of money with? Colors. Again, really important component to branding are colors. Are your colors unique in your market? Can you own your own colors? People say I hate on red, white, and blue, and I'm unpatriotic because I hate on red, white, and blue. Well, I'm not unpatriotic. I just know you can't own those colors. They're really hard to own because a lot of companies use them. And I want your color scheme to be uniquely identified to you only. So that's why red, white, and blue is sometimes hard because it's associated with so many other things. Okay? So do the colors appeal to your demographic? Thinking about, again, Mrs. Jones, what connects with her? Are they disruptive, unique, and unexpected? Our criteria is looking at all the competitors in a market and trying to figure out where the opportunities lies. So if I was doing a brand here in Philadelphia, I would probably avoid orange because it's hard to own orange because there's so many orange vans that are run by Horizon. So I wouldn't say, hey, let's do another orange van in a really saturated market that already has a ton of orange. So thinking about your own brand colors, you guys know better than anyone else your competitors and their brand colors. Do you have a lot of competitors in your market using your same exact colors? Well, then you're going to score yourself lower on that. Okay? So again, just an example here, DoorTech, you know, very generic. Again, doesn't look like anything I'm likely to remember. And then the rebrand here, kind of using apple greens and blues and a lot more innovative colors, a lot more disruptive colors. This is the branding that we did do for Lance at Munns. This is like $1.5 million company, I think, not even a year ago, and I think that they're pacing over $30 or $40 million. Lance, I'm sure we'll talk about it later, but the old brand was just very generic, not something you would remember, but these unique colors, again, aid in recognition and, again, help live in that consumer's mind. This is another company, too. This is functional, right? I can read everything on this particular brand, but would I ever remember it? And this is the redesign. And their average tickets went up, just by simply rebranding, their average tickets went up by almost $700 a ticket. So the effect of this, again, is meant to make it so you're less dependent on Google and these other mediums for delivering your name in front of the people that you are trying to sell to. I mean, look at these colors, too. Like, this is one of my favorite brands. These colors really, really are so vibrant, and they really pop. So black and red, those colors, things like that, more hard to live in people's minds because they're just not as memorable. So take a look at your own brand, see how you guys score on that. So stickiness, again, the notion of how likely would Mrs. Jones remember your brand? Is it likely that somebody, when they need service later on, is going to think of your name? Is there a reason why someone would go out of their way to actually look at your truck route? That's why we talk again about that white van syndrome, and it's really hard for people to really stand out amongst a sea of white vans. So again, looking at this white van, 24/7 HV, which was an interesting name for a company that didn't actually provide 24/7 HVAC. It's always strange. It's like Any Hour. Well, we don't really do Any Hour, but we're called Any Hour. Anyway, so we renamed them Hummingbird, okay? Obviously, you could look at these colors, and you could tell that they were very deliberately designed to appeal to women, but it's certainly a lot more memorable than this, okay? And then the tagline, we keep your comfort humming along. This is another company where, the black and the reds, and again, the idea of a name that is not really sticky sounds more like a search term as far as, garage door repair company. Well, that's what they do. That's not necessarily their brand name, though. And then this is the redesign. We renamed them Rise and Shine Garage Doors, and nice revenue increase since the rebrand for them as well. Again, the notion of that stickiness. So when we rebranded and renamed Bueller, it used to be called Air Source America. And this is one of the rare examples when a last name brand actually is more preferable than something like Air Source America, which I always thought sounded more like an oxygen supply company rather than an HVAC company. However, so I think we're at 6 years, and they've gone from they were at 2.2 to over 20 million in revenue. But the beauty of this particular slide that I wanted to take note of is that they had 1,500 people typing in their name in the month of July last year. What would you pay to have 1,500 people actually searching for your own name? And that's the idea also of just trying to become 5 Mile famous. I mean, I don't know, Michael, how much would 1,500 clicks cost for, what was the average cost per lead if they had to pay for those? What would that be, roughly? Unbranded click, though, AC repair near me, instead to try to present their name.
$60 to $150 easy.
Yeah, so just think about the value of becoming famous in your own community, that notion of 5 Mile famous. So Bueller, obviously, people associated with the movie. Stay Cooler with Bueller, a tagline that you can remember. But it was so much more effective going from that Air Source America and embracing that last name. Like, he would literally go to jobs and they were like, what's the name of your company? And he's got the van, right there. But they always remembered his last name, which was Jason Bueller, okay? A couple other examples, again, just things that are much more disruptive, things that live in people's head. So, again, score yours. How sticky is it? How likely is it somebody is going to remember you? A couple examples on the right, too. One of my favorite painting ones that we've done is a company we renamed that was called Rock and Rollers Painting. Again, just kind of a really cool graphic for that one. So vehicle wraps. Obviously, we know how important they are to your business. It is the single most cost-effective mechanism to advertise your business. You will not have a less expensive cost per impression compared to vehicle wraps. So you think about what you invest in a vehicle wrap, whether maybe it's $5,000, and the number of impressions that will make. There is no other medium that even comes remotely close to that. The problem is that most of them are not done very well. They're not very effective, hard to read. They have things on there that don't really work. And a lot of that is driven by the fact that the branding itself doesn't work very well. Okay? So what impression does your vehicle wrap leave to the homeowners? Is it clear to the viewer what your brand name is? Does it blend in? Does it have that white van syndrome that we talk about? Is it unique in your market, meaning does my van get confused with someone else? Is there too much information on your vehicle? And is it legible? I mean, legibility, you'd be surprised. Like, I was driving down here today on 95, and oh man, there was some awful truck wraps that I saw today driving down. And it's sad because it's a wasted opportunity. It's a lot of money, but it's a wasted opportunity when they're not done correctly. So looking at this one, this is a great example of exactly not what to do. This is really funny. I actually posted this on my personal Facebook page for April Fools. And for a while, people were like, damn, what happened to your work? They didn't get it, that it was actually a joke. So looking at this, again, just information overload, way too many things on here, generic imagery, photography, things like that should never be used. This is a company that we did rebrand. I don't know if anyone can actually determine the name of this company by looking at it. Anyone read the name of the company? Jay's HVAC, right? It's pretty tough to read Jay's HVAC, right? But Jay said to me when I was talking to him about rebranding, and I was probably, I might have said your truck wrap sucks, actually, for this particular one. And I think in my defense was probably warranted, but I said to him, Jay, just because everyone tells you that they see your vehicle does not mean that it's actually working. And I think people get in that mindset where people say to them, oh, I see your trucks all over. Well, you can make your trucks pink and purple, and people would say that they see your trucks all over, and that would be true. But what does it deliver in terms of the promise is the other piece. So visibility is the first part, and secondly, what does it say about who you are as a company? And this is the redesign for this particular brand. Same exact company, but now I can read it, right? I mean, I want to say, wow, isn't that step one, is being legible, right? So you can read it compared to this. Like, this was very disruptive in a sense. There's a lot of stuff going on. It's very colorful, but I didn't know who it was for, okay? And this is the way the fleet looks. Looks like a much more professional company, doesn't it, compared to the other one? It's another one, too, Pro Garage Doors. There's nothing inherently wrong with this. It's functional, right? I can read everything on here, but would I remember it? So he's really funny, too, because he was in the same exact location for like 5 years, and nobody remembered him or knew who he was. And then we rebranded him with this. And like he said to me, he's like, people thought we were like a brand new company. We've been in the same exact location with a sign on front for years, and they never noticed it. Okay? Look at this picture, which I think is a great example of disruption. So this is a photograph that our client from Ahoy took of the supply house. He's in Tampa. And that's exactly, again, what is happening on the streets every day. Is your truck route blending in to what everyone else has? Or is it actually disruptive? Is it actually unique? And you can see the way the truck looks there, a little close up on it. This is the company we renamed also. So score yours. You know, think about those different criteria. How does yours measure up with some of those aspects? Again, will I remember it if I see it? Does it deliver brand promise? Are the colors different? Or is my branding consistently applied to it? Next piece, thinking about branding and that brand wheel that we talked about earlier. Is your branding consistently applied on all your channels? Okay, so if I went to your Facebook page, if I saw your business card, if I saw your guy in uniform, no matter where I experienced your brand, does it look the same? Can I tell which company is being represented by this particular ad? You see, a lot of people will go to many different partners in their digital mix, and each partner puts their own spin on your branding. Shouldn't do that. It should all be consistent. Typefaces, colors, obviously your logo, all those things need to be really consistent. So this is like a fake one we made up here, but you know, you could see true company is done all differently, right? This is how we would do it. This is the branding for trade masters. And you can see everything from the truck to his maintenance agreement brochure, his site sign, his uniforms, direct mail, equipment stickers, all these things, you can tell right away which company is being presented by it. Again, going through it, you can see. Apex Plumbing, another company that we branded from scratch as a brand new company. And I think within 24 months, I think they did $30 million in revenue. They're in Ohio. But you can see, again, everything matches, everything looks consistent. So thinking about your own brand, is it consistently being applied? There's another one for a garage door company. You could see the truck on there, and then you could see the way we did their brochure and how everything is synchronized up. So is your stuff the same? Does it all look like it's coming from the same company? Or does it look like a hodgepodge of all different things, you know, different typefaces, different colors, different messages, different storylines? All those things play into it. All right, and then I think the last one we have is years in use. Now, this is a tougher one to measure because you could have a really, really old company that's been using the same brand or even the same brand name for a while, and you would say, well, they should score higher because they've been around for a really long time. But we've rebranded many companies that have been around for over 100 years, and they were still almost not really invisible in their community, but they weren't branded very well. So I try to sort of use a benchmark as this, try to think about one aspect of this would be how long have you been using it? How long has that brand name existed in your market? But if you have a brand that's been in your market for 10 years and you're riding around in white vans, and you're almost virtually invisible already. So it's a little bit hard to judge this one, but these are some of the criteria we might use. But to give you an example, like H.C. Blake, so I think a $40 or $50 million company in Alabama that we had rebranded. They had been around for 120 years or more. And they just didn't really stand out. They really kind of blended in. And this was the redesign trying to play off the heritage of where they came from and make it look like a company that had actually been around for that long. Another company we rebranded in Minnesota, McQuillan Brothers, 1883, a really, really old company. But look at the truck wrap. Like, I can't get there. I don't know the history. I don't have a sense of heritage of how long they've really been around serving their community. So we rebranded them to this and then integrated the tagline, Minnesota's original since 1883. Now that looks like a company that has history, that has heritage, and that they've been around a really long time. So score yourself on that one. Again, that one's a little bit tough to have a hard and fast rule against. There's some judgment that needs to be made on that one. But score yourself on that one. And I think at that point, I think that's our last one. So yeah, add up your scores. Got Judge Judy here. And let's see how you guys did. So, just anybody here first of 0 to 25? I'm sorry, man. It's all right. 26 to 50. Decent amount, okay. And 51 to 75. A lot, okay. And let's go to last one, 76 to 100. All right. Out of those people, how many of those people did I actually do the branding for? Okay, how many did I not do the branding for? All right, and what score did you have? 83. 83? 83? 78? Okay, awesome. You have a great brand. I love your brand. This is one of the best well-known branded painting companies, I'd say, in the country. He's got a killer brand. It's done well. Okay, so listen, I hope that was super helpful. I do want to say, no matter what, you never would need to become a KickCharge client for me to help you and give you advice and strategy. Like, you could go on Tommy Mello's Home Service Millionaire page where I basically offered to critique anyone's truck wrap and logo, and we have over almost 300 responses on that particular thread where I actually responded to every single one of them. You guys ever have any questions, just hit me up. Like, honestly, no matter what, at the end of the day, I really just want everybody to win. I want to make sure that you can maximize your brand's potential. And if I can help you in any way, just make some simple suggestions or improvements. That's all I really want to do, is just try to give as much back to the trades that has really done so much for me. So any questions, just hit me up. I promise you, you will not get a sales pitch from me. But if I can help you in any way, I'm really blessed and grateful to be able to have that opportunity. So thank you so much for your time today, guys. I hope you guys learned some stuff.